Josh's deck. So Josh is playing. Yeah, it's Landstill. And so it looks like a pretty standard. Pretty standard Landstill build, except he's playing the Tides. So Tide package in there. He does have the Kirchar's Desire, which is awesome.
Do you want to not have a? This is how you have a Phyrexian Dreadnought not attack.
Exactly.
You put Kirchar's Desire on that.
It is the 5th Swords to Plowshares, I was told.
Yeah. Or the 8th way to deal with the Dreadnought, including the chains there.
True. On the other side of the table, we have Jared Bollinger, and he's going to be playing Goblins. However, I will let you know that Jared's deck does not look like what's on the screen right now.
Oh yes.
So everybody, I hope you are excited for that. But
get your rage emotes ready.
Anyways, we can head on down to the match, and I'm going to let the players know that they can start. And we are underway with round 7. I'll be right back.
So looking at the deck lists, I'm thinking that Josh is in pretty good shape. He's got a lot of 1-mana answers for Jared's little dudes. But Goblins can Goblin. That's a thing they can do. So you may have that Lackey come down and one of those 8 1-mana answers still Lackey just doesn't show up and Jared just takes it home.
So this is, I would say, generally a pretty bad matchup for Landstill pre-board.
Okay.
It can definitely... It's not. I think a lot of it comes down to exactly what Jared just did on turn 2, which is Rashad and Port.
In that mana disruption.
Port is fantastic at taxing the mana out of Landstill, and honestly, if you can get under them, it's perfect.
Ooh, that is spicy.
That's going to be a stifle.
One of fun of. Let's go. Oh! And over the top rope, we've got a Goblin Lackey. At least I think it's a Goblin Lackey.
Yeah, that would be a Goblin Lackey. Definitely not showing up when it's supposed to.
No,
but on turn 3, but
3 mana.
So Swordsing. Oh wait. So that is a flooded expanse,
okay.
or
Yeah,
Sky Cloud Expanse.
That's
so
slick.
paying through the Sky Cloud Expanse.
Yeah, you got the filter, and you'd have to spend life for either the Standstill or the Source Plowshares. Very well played. I like that. It's nice sequencing.
Very nice.
All right, no stifle for this discussion. So Jared is looking to land, I think, a War Chief here. But he's got the opening.
Definitely.
That's going to give him the ability to cast a bunch of little dorks afterwards and try and swarm it. The haste is so good against Landstill.
It is. Being able to just non-stop pressure.
Yeah, the card does a lot.
Looks like also a Matron in hand, so gonna see that come down instead. Josh will draw.
So what does he get here? What does he get information here? I'm thinking still War Chief is what he's looking for. Maybe a ringleader? That's how I always play Goblins. Whenever I play Goblins, it's just how many ringleaders can I resolve?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a ringleader going to the top if I recognize the art, which I don't.
Yeah, which is going to be tough.
Yeah.
This is a nightmare for coverage right now.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody, I don't remember who it was a while back, about doing coverage for other formats possibly. And but I was like, I can't do coverage for modern Magic because I have no idea what's going on. I don't recognize any of the cards.
Yeah.
I don't recognize any of Jared's cards.
And this is pre-modern.
Exactly.
This is the format we all know.
Oh man.
But those secret lairs is probably it's got to be one of the most heinous things that Wizards has ever made.
Yeah, they were pretty hard at it. Okay, so you got a factory to go with the Standstill. That's nice.
Yeah.
Although we got a port to deal with the factory, so it's a little bit of a standoff.
Ooh, second port is
that's nice.
Very good.
It's gonna give Jared some good setup for the next turn. He basically gets to double port on the end step and then untap and have a lot of mana. Okay, some port now. I can see that. Yeah. Trying to see the mana values on that card. It's a ring. I think it's a.
I believe that is a ring.
I think it's a ring leader. I'm gonna hope it is. Maybe check and tell us.
I can look it up right now. Actually, ring leader. I go to Secret Lair Drop. Yeah,
Hey, let's go.
let's pull that one up for chat.
Yeah.
'Cause I know y'all will love to see that.
I love to see how slick that was. That was clean.
Sweet filter, hashtag GobBob.
It sure is. All right, so this is
That is a Mog.
Okay, not Connecticut.
Yep, with his butt hanging out.
Like they do. This is good. Jared's not overcommitting to the board. He's not putting out too much stuff, but he's putting out just enough to keep Josh pressured. Which is where you want to be. I didn't remember how many wraths Josh was playing on.
I think 2 in the main deck. So Wrath of God 2 in the main deck, and then 2 in the sideboard.
Ooh, going for the full 4. Okay.
Yep, and also in the sideboard has those 3 circle protections, which are going to be very nice in the
That's a
post-board.
lot of circle reds.
So we've cracked the standstill, and making Josh discard a couple of cards. But yeah, no, I agree that Jared's in kind of that perfect spot of pressure, but not so much that, like, Josh doesn't want to wrath. He doesn't want to commit an entire Wrath of God because it just doesn't feel good. And those ports are going to just make this the factory.
He's
Yeah.
got to draw 2 more ports after that. Like that is a tall ask. 2 Skycloud expanses. That is interesting. I always had trouble with playing Replenish with Skycloud expanse, hitting 2 of them and like, all right, I guess I just do nothing until I get my 3rd land. But luckily that is not the case for Josh's game.
How do we want to split this? Are we more afraid of the Decree or the Tide? I think that's the question here.
Those are both terrifying for him. I think he wants to incentivize Josh to not take the time. Yeah, as he's going for there.
Yeah. That's tough.
I like that split. Okay, I don't like that split as much. Oh, that's doing mana leak over. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, I like that. He's putting both the mana denial cards into one pile, and then taking the permission and the other stuff and putting it in one pile. It's an old adage with Factor Fiction is you basically like take the 2 similar things and separate them. So if it's like counterspell, discard land, separate them like that. And that's a way you can do it pretty easily that doesn't require a whole lot of thought.
Such a fun card. One of the coolest.
Such a well-designed card.
Design cards. Yeah.
Very, very powerful.
Oh, incredible.
But
that creating sub games is one of the
huge.
most interesting design spaces.
And it adds such a skill testing element to the game. Like that,
100%.
like we have 3 of us effectively looking at that Factor Fiction, and I don't think any of us agree exactly on how to split it.
Exactly.
That's really cool. Josh, are you playing face up for us?
Yeah, Josh having another Factor Fiction, Decree, Coastal Tower, Mana Leak, and I believe one other card, plus the face up, Tide, and Dust Bowl. And Jared, on the other hand, having a grip full of goblins, I know that, but which ones they are,
Who could tell?
who's to say?
That's between him and Jesus. And I guess Twitch chat if they can identify the pictures. So,
Thinking here, how do we want to sequence?
yeah, this is tough. Like I think he definitely wants to attack, but he also wants to try and keep him off Tide, which he's only got. Oh no, he has 3 blue sources showing. Okay, so
Yeah, so how much do we want? Yeah, so the question here is, do you tap down the factory now, or do you not, and then just try and port him on his upkeep to keep him off the mana next turn?
I'm thinking what he might try to do, depending on what's in his hand, because we're not exactly sure in his hand. He might go for an attack, maybe let the factory eat something, and then tap down the 2nd blue mana to take him off counterspell, and then drop something else. Just drop another third on the board. He's just going to run out the ringleader. I like that. That's bold.
One of these is
there we go. We got there.
Found the mana leak.
That's right. Okay, that's a big turning point, I think, because Jared is. Okay, well, yeah, just trade damage here. Trade any damage for a card. Flame jab.
Yeah. Okay, so forces the shoot.
Sends it upstairs. I guess he just doesn't want to deal with it. It does make his fairy conflicts live now, which they were not otherwise.
Mm-hmm. True. Wrath of God, and I believe just a counterspell picked up this turn.
Yeah, I think I saw the Chain of Vapor in his hand, so he's.
So we
can
do the thing. But yeah, Chain of Vapor, counterspell, Wrath of God, Decree, and a Fact or Fiction are the 5
They had a
cards.
Decree too. I wonder if we're going to see a hard cast Decree this game.
Oh, I'd love it. We saw one earlier, and it was nice.
Yeah. This is gonna.
Yep.
So the Parallax Tide trick, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, is you can add a bunch of activations of Parallax Tide to this attack, respond to those activations, and bounce your Tide back to your hand. That triggers the Leaves play ability, which means all the lands don't come back. However, Josh made a sweet play here where he exiled one of his lands, let that resolve, then did that. The Leaves play trigger only affected his land, so he gets an extra mana for free, basically.
Yeah, because Tide, when it enters, the lands enter untapped.
Exactly.
And Jared only having 4 lands meant that he essentially had an extra activation of the Tide.
Might as well get free mana.
Might as well turn it into an extra mana.
It's those kind of like small plays that really, like those small advantages that really add up a lot. Of course,
Definitely watching Tide players, they do not tide their own lands enough, I think.
I agree.
It's one of those small things that, adds up over time.
Yeah.
But we see a pretty thick Decree here for 4. And those are going to be pretty nice into Jared's couple of 1/1s.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel bad if that ringleader was able to hit, or if he was able to get sneak in like a pile driver or something. That would have gone a long way towards alleviating some of this pressure. If we had an advantage bar, I think I put it pretty strongly in Josh's favor.
Very firmly, for sure. I think a lot of it goes back to Jared keeping a somewhat slower hand. Definitely not having that explosive Goblin start. And I did miss these players mulliganing. I'm not sure if Jared was on a mulligan this game. But I would have to imagine so if he kept a hand with no 1-drop.
Yeah. Here we're seeing the second mode of Parallax Tide, where you use it the way it was intended, and it's just exiling lands that are going to come back later, should there be a later.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see this. This game is probably going to get cleaned up pretty quickly now that. And that's one of the things I really like about Landstill is just how quickly you turn that corner. You transition from hard control into the aggressor very quickly, and just get them
Your
down.
threats are such big haymakers, like so like you said, you hit that turning point, you just go, and the game does not last much longer from there.
Because I think that's definitely one of the drawbacks to some of the other hard control decks in this format is that they get your opponent in these locks and then just slowly grind them out, like the mono blue Tide deck that's just attacking with a couple of 2/1 flyers, and you give your opponent the chance to draw out of it.
It does happen sometimes, especially when people are dropping 12/12s.
Exactly. All you need is a couple of lands, a couple of cards, and boom, you got a fatty. But I don't think that's going to be the case in this match, or in this game.
So Jared, interestingly, not blocking. I'm not a super good Goblins player. My thought here would be to try and stem the bleeding just a smidge. Maybe he's holding. He might be holding. Yeah, he's holding the back probably to block the factory, if I had to guess.
True.
Keep the factory from getting in. This Mistress Factory does not have vigilance, so it cannot pump itself when it attacks.
But I think Josh is going to be smart enough to just hold back, get in there for the 4 points of damage. He's got Jared on a 2-turn clock, and he has plenty of stuff to do. He's got quite the grip. He's drawn a lot of cards this game.
Yes, he has. He stands still twice, Factor Fiction twice. It's pretty reasonable. I would take an extra 10 cards.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes a long way.
And Jared's going to pack it up here for game number 1. So let's bring up the deck lists again real quick. Let's talk sideboarding. So starting off with Josh, Sissio, he has got in his board 3 annuls, 2 blue elemental blasts, 3 circle of protections, 2 hydro blasts, 1 seal cleansing, 2 Teferi's response, 2 Wrath of God. So a lot of players going into this that I've talked with were definitely seeing the decline of red decks, and that meant a lot of people have been trimming back on that red hate. Josh, not at all. I mean, 4 blasts and 3 cop reds. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's going to be really tough for Jared to get through. Now, Cop Red I don't think is as good against Goblins as it is against, say, Burn, because Burn is tossing cards out for damage, whereas Goblins is recurring source of damage.
True.
So each of your Goblins turns into a shot and focus, tapping the damage. But it's still good.
Yeah, it's still very powerful, and especially when combined with Josh being able to bring in those 2 extra Wrath of Gods. I mean, only having 2 in the main deck, I was a little bit worried for Josh if he got into a position where he badly needed a Wrath.
If Jared hit that explosive opening, it's going to be a problem.
And he just doesn't happen to find one of those early Wraths because only playing 2 of them in the main deck. Now that we get to the post-board games, up a game, Josh is going to be sitting in a very commanding position going into games. Now, there are those starts from Goblins where you just can't beat them, which let's bring up.
Those openings do exist. They often revolve around getting Goblin Lackey in play, getting that hit in, getting the free Goblin. Jared does not have the Fire Whip tech that some people have been running, sadly.
So Jared's running 1 Goblin King, 1 Mog Salvage, 1 Naturalize, 3 Pyroblast, 2 Pyrokinesis, 2 Red Elemental Blast, 2 Tormod's Crypts, and 3 Tranquil Domain. I'd say just the blasts, I think.
Unless he's expecting
Circle
Red. I think getting Naturalized too, because you can Naturalize Mission Factories.
True. You can do that. So, and I think you definitely have to be wary of the humility. I would say all of that stuff coming in, but this is definitely going to be an uphill battle.
It is very much so. Notably, I think the blasts are a lot better than they are typically against Landstill because it's running that Tide package.
True.
I don't know that I always bring in the maximum number of blasts or even a lot of them against Landstill. Most of the threats you're worried about are whites. Counterspells whatever.
Yeah. It's trading cardboard and it's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want those resources in your hand to be fighting back, or do you want them to just be more goblins?
Be more proactive for sure.
So I would say winning that game 1 for Josh is huge, because there's going to be those starts where Jared might just go turn 1 Lackey, turn 2 Siege Gang, and there's just nothing you can do about it.
That is true. That is an opening Jared is allowed to have. However, Josh is running with 12 1-mana answers to Goblin Lackey.
That's true.
Between his main deck and sideboard. That is
true.
A lot. He is very favored to have at least 1 in his hand, if not 2.
Yeah, so those being, let's see, we got the factories, the swords, the desire, and then the chain of vapors. 3 chains. Yeah.
So bringing in those blasts.
Plus the blasts, actually. Yeah,
that's
even
12.
more. Yeah.
12 1-mana answers plus Mr. Factory.
Yeah, plus Factory. Gotcha.
Plus Wrath of Gods to clean up.
Yeah.
I'm going to rescind my not bringing in Blast because Jared needs to counter every single blue spell that draws cards that he can.
There's
the opening with the...
And there it is. So there's the start. Do we have... I see a sword. There we go.
Sorry, Jared. That's rough.
So...
Sometimes Goblins able to just steal those games with...
what?
Game up.
Whoops.
You all missed the Goblin Lackey. Good thing we were commentating.
Whoops. Yeah. Good call.
Yep.
Anyways, you guys missed a Goblin Lackey coming in, getting swords. My bad, y'all. I swear I've done this before.
It's only been 10 hours since you started working on this.
It's such a long day. Yeah. It is almost 7 p.m.
Fanatic getting in there. Ain't no circle red stopping that.
That's going to be a sharpshooter.
Cute. That's a good way to deal with the Decree of Justice tokens, which are all 1/1s.
Definitely is, but not the kind of pressure you want to be having on turn 3.
No, but it does. Yeah. No, it's something.
It is. It did resolve. It didn't immediately go to the bin. And Josh passes back without hitting his 3rd land drop, so looks like he's got a couple of decrees in hand.
Yeah, I think I saw a counterspell, possibly a standstill.
And a Teferi's response. So that is going to be big.
Yeah.
Which
Jared has a blast, however.
Yeah, does Jared sniff that out, smartly leaving up the red source.
He's gonna go for. He's got to go for. The
Oh, yeah, he's got to go for it.
He's
Yeah.
got no choice,
Gonna attempt the response there.
Oh, Jared doesn't red rust.
Jared, okay, gonna let it happen. No, chooses to just let it happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. I think seeing that Josh missed his land drop, I think you want to press that advantage, but I definitely get wanting to save the blast for
Like counter spells.
something that's more painfully impacting your game plan.
This may be incredibly. This is like probably 40 chess from Jared, where he's thinking way farther ahead than I am.
Also does allow him to port again.
Yeah, which is actually pretty strong. He gets to untap with 3 lands here. If he hits a 4th, he can ringleader. Because I recognize the ringleader in his hand now. He did not hit the land, unfortunately, for him.
Does have another fanatic.
So we got some pressure going. And we're looking at minimum 4 damage, including the 2 fanatic activations and the sharpshooter.
So, Humility, Sword, Stifle, Decree, Counterspell, Decree in hand, along with the land, Precicio. Big draw there with the Mishra's Factory. So we are going to need to get to land number 5 before we unlock casting that Humility.
Yeah, also need a 3rd white source too, and Jared is keeping him off of that pretty strong one of those cards.
True.
It's fantastic. Those cards.
So, but some of those big white spells in his hand that blast does not deal with. And there's a Wrath of God off the top. Again, not being kept off double white, but
I'm wondering, going back to the Teferi's response play, I'm wondering how much that has impacted the game. I'd have to go back and watch the.
I think it hugely impacted the game in letting Josh draw out of that mana screw.
Yeah.
Which
Jared was able to sneak in an extra port activation. I'm not sure if that's been as impactful as he might have wanted it to be.
I think getting 2 cards deeper into the deck was probably a huge turning point here.
Yeah.
So Josh he's down to 14.
He also had a second port. That's still, it's rough.
For sure. Yeah, because then you keep the second port and are able to just
okay, so this is where I think he's saving his blast force, trying to force through these ringleaders.
Definitely.
And he can heal, unless Josh has double mana. We know he does not.
No, he could stifle the trigger.
What does he stifle?
He's counterspell. Oh, he doesn't have a 3rd blue. Never mind. I was thinking you could counterspell and then stifle the trigger here, but does not have a 3rd.
4 cards.
Draw 3.
3, yeah. That's
a king, a war leader, and a ring, or war chief and a ringleader, I believe.
No, that's a pile driver.
Oh, that's a pile driver.
I think so, yeah.
And the top one is a king, I believe.
Yeah. The one in the middle is a king. The bottom one is. It's a Kraken for 4.
Yep.
This is sick. So like Josh can block, and I don't remember. I think this factory is not active. It's still summoning sick. But were it not, Josh would still lose his factory to any of these things because the Goblin Sharpshooter represents 2 additional damage.
True.
And it will untap when he kills the Mishra's Factory.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and we can definitely start pumping through some pretty impressive damage with all these fanatics. And so
he recognizes the threat of the Sharpshooter. Yeah.
Very heads up play.
Yep. Jared's 40 chess is matched by Josh's 5 chess.
Very true.
Should damage in, might as well.
So,
brings him down to 10, I think.
Should be 9 after the activation of the sharpshooter. More lands off the top is definitely what Sissy was looking for.
Unfortunately, this unlocks Josh's double white mana, which he would have had anyway, so
true.
That's it from Jared.
And here is a humility. And now Josh sitting back with that Mishra's Factory. So Mishra's Factory and humility.
Yes. They work exactly how you think them to.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Which, as everybody scratches their head. So the way that this works is because a factory is set to its power and toughness on the card, and it is happening after the humility, essentially, it is still going to be a 2/2. So, despite humility saying everything's a 1/1, Josh's Bandlands, they don't play by those
No,
rules.
they do not. And the Mistress Factory, it does lose the ability to pump itself as one would expect.
True.
But yeah, the power toughness is not what you think. Oh, nice naturalize here.
Very nice.
Josh pump activating the factory gives Jared a nice opening to naturalize the humility, adds in extra damage.
Very, very impressive. Second factory is big.
It's pretty strong. I don't know if it's gonna be enough though.
Also, but we are starting to get to the point where these decrees are looking pretty big. But we do have 2 damage just face up from these Mog Fanatics.
Is that a lightning bolt in Jared's here?
No,
Maybe it's a red elemental blast. I think it's a red elemental blast.
okay.
I recognize one of his cards, so I was very confused about it.
Yeah, I think that is a red. So,
And he's just got to jam threats here. Jared cannot let Josh sit around with untapped mana
yes.
and just do whatever he wants. He's got to put pressure on the board. So, War Chief into Pile Driver. It's a lot of damage. Everything coming through.
Yep.
3 for
So
4. Gets to block most of the things.
Josh is going to decree for 4. Now he can block 4 of the things, leave a Mog Fanatic untapped or unblocked, I guess.
Yeah, he's got to block the Mog Fanatic damage. I say he can double block the War Chief.
It takes 2 from the Mog Fanatic, and then this is just dead, right? Because with the King, it's 2 from the Fanatic.
No,
and then...
that's a War Chief. That's a War Chief.
Oh, it's a War Chief. Oh, that's my
Yeah.
fault. My fault.
Yeah, no,
I was thinking that was a King.
I thought it was 2.
Yeah.
And, it was not.
Yeah, I guess that would change things.
So what happens when you have Boomer Casters, Zoomer cards.
True.
Alright, so the other Fnatic went upstairs.
Yep.
The 1 damage from the Fnatic got through.
Very fat Wrath of God.
Yeah, that's strong. But Jared does have another ringleader to try and rebuild after this Wrath of God.
True.
Josh sitting with the counter spell, but again, Jared has another Red Blast that he did not use on Teferi's Response.
Yes.
Which, while at the time I did not agree with the play, I think may end up being a big deal. Because you think, I get to stop Teferi's Response. That's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Counter the thing that's going to destroy my land and draw you 2 cards.
Josh down to 1. Are we gonna see? Where is that lightning bolt?
Yeah,
that's
the
not in the
red
deck.
blast lightning bolt that I thought I saw. Another ringleader looks like. Yeah, nice.
Ooh, not a good start. Okay, Lackey, Matron. Matron's not bad.
Not bad. I've seen worse, but I've seen better.
I mean, we can potentially, if we are able to stick that Matron, get
Get a Fnatic, just win.
Yeah, true. Oh, yeah, he's a 1. Yeah,
Yeah.
just win. I'm over here thinking Siege Gang to fling, but no,
It'd
yeah,
be good, but
it would. But
it is much less
Fnatic
mana efficient than Fnatic
yes,
just killing.
yes, then just killing him.
This is not where you want to be as a control player. Sitting at 1 life versus a creature deck that has a lot of things that can come out of you.
It's a lot better than sitting at 0.
That's true. Oh, he's got a Swords of Plowshares actually, so that's actually kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Josh can activate one of his factories, use 2 of them to pump one of them,
Gain 4.
and then gain 4. That is a non-zero amount of life. He's got a Stifle to stop a activation of the aforementioned Fnatic that we think he's going to get. But he also could just stifle the Matron.
Yep. And I believe we have 2 blasts in hand, between a Pyroblast and a Red Elemental Blast.
Yes, you're correct. There had to be uglier Pyroblast to play,
I believe
right?
it's only been printed once, I think.
5th edition and then Ice
Or,
Age.
I'm sorry, twice, but yes.
If only we had the technology to find out. Oh well, let's see. So we got a Goblin Matron, and I don't think that's a counterspell target, but I do think it's a nice stifle target. Jared finalizing how to spend his mana. He's not planning to attack this turn. Just goes to the counterspell. I respect that.
And let's snap Pyroblast it back.
And he doesn't have any non-painful sources of blue, so he cannot stifle anything. This is he's got the Sky Cloud expanse. I keep on thinking it's a.
It does look suspiciously like a fetch land, but
there's a wonderful meme in the pre-modern community where Skycloud Expanse and Flooded Strand look very, very similar. So you get to make jokes about people playing 5 Flooded Strands in their decks.
I believe that was well, that's a topic for another day, but I think there's been quite a few like PT stories of people getting either DQ'd or game losses, I guess, for playing one as the other.
Wrong, yeah.
But just a land pass from Sissio. Jared will untap and draw. And how is he going to push through this last point of damage?
3 creatures. So on board, he's got 3 creatures and Josh has 2.
True.
However, we see there's a Swords of Plowshares in Josh's hand.
And a Decree.
And a Decree.
Decree is 6 creatures right now.
That is a lot of creatures. For those of you that are not as good as math as I am, 3 is a much smaller number than 6.
True.
Oh, is that a CJ commander?
Gotta counter that one.
He doesn't have
But
it.
he doesn't have it.
So does he try to cycle to get to the counter spell? That's kind of loose.
Yeah, that makes you dead in a lot more ways than you want to be. But this is going to allow. So I guess we're gonna get in, force Josh's hand. And
They can spend that mana.
yeah, so and actually having him activating is a mana, tapping. So you're essentially it's 4 mana just to swords yourself up to 5.
Right.
And then you're only going to be left with
ETB on the stack.
Okay.
He just throws it at him and kills him.
yeah. Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was a way Josh was getting out of that. I think his only out would have been, like you said, because it's going to cost a bunch of mana to gain that life. He decrees for 3. He had like 8 mana in play, 9 mana in play. And then he goes for block, and then in response to Jared activating the goblin, plows his own guy. So he may not have had mana for it. So.
Because it would be 4 mana for that. He had 9 mana, so I'd leave him with 5 for the decree. So he could decree for 2, block 2 of the creatures, let the last one through, but before damage, plow his own dude. Or actually, no, you could, because you're animating the factory. So declare the block. So you're not taking any damage off that. Plow yourself up to 5, and then he hits you for, I think you can only throw 1 guy at you for siege.
I think it was an out to not die. I don't think it was an out to win.
Very true. Very true.
Those minor plays sometimes add up.
It would have had to have been runner, wrath off the top.
Yeah.
And hope that
he doesn't draw.
Yeah, Jared sees nothing that does damage. But that's going to put Jared brings it back to even. And that was a grindy game.
Goblins is great at that though. Like
it definitely.
You got 4 mana 2/2s that get you a bunch of creatures, and you just jam them.
Yeah, it was well played. I mean, Jared grinded through both a wrath and a humility. And multiple decrees.
Yep.
So
of note, Jared did use all of his blasts that game.
True.
So that blast that we were hemming and hawing on about the Teferi's response very well may have been the case that he actually won the game. That's
very true.
The argument that Josh was able to draw more lands off the response may have gotten him into the game. I don't know, but let's go with results-oriented thinking. And Jared made the correct decision, 100%.
So, although one thing to note, Jared did see a lot of blasts that game. And I don't think Josh saw any sideboard cards.
No, we did not.
So, if we're going off of results-oriented thinking, draw your sideboard cards.
Yeah, no doubt.
That is relevant.
That is my advice to do well. I've seen great success when I draw my sideboard cards against my opponents.
True. Both players keeping quick 7s.
No Terminal Lackey.
Nope.
Got the port though, which is awesome.
And that's probably interesting.
Yeah, I saw him leave that in. I was like, why is he leaving it? That kills Mistress Factor.
It does. It does.
Not nothing.
So that is Goblin Tinkerer, correct?
Yes, it is. Goblin Tinkerer.
Bring that one up.
Notably very good at killing Phyrexian Dreadnoughts.
Yes.
But also quite good at killing Mistress Factories because lands have a mana value of 0, or converted mana cost for your other boomers out there. And the Tinkerer does not kill itself. It's great.
True. So, still definitely a bit of a slower start for Jared. Hard to see Pile Driver. Not used to that art.
It's okay. we'll go to support group later and we'll get over it. It'll be fine.
Double swords, blue blast. Is that triple swords? Or no?
Swords.
I think the white border card might be. It might be a Wrath or a Humility, but that's a Wrath.
That's very much a Wrath.
This is a very strong looking hand.
Yeah, it's a second Wrath. Yeah, you're right.
For Josh. I keep trying to read what's in Jared's hand and realizing that I just...
Bless your heart.
Yeah, I see a Red Blast, a Rishad and Port, a couple of lands, and a Matron and another Pile Driver maybe? So a couple of threats, but...
Not a lot.
Not as many as you would want. I would say that Josh is definitely has a stronger looking hand right now.
So Josh got a decision to make here. He doesn't have a Mistress Factory to block this Pile Driver, as you can see. And even if he did, it would die to the Tinkerer. So he's got to decide if he wants to blast it on the stack or devote a plow to it.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like he is going to say, Carl, you're bad. I'm going to do something else entirely. Yep, goes for the Dust Bowl on the shot for it. Okay.
Makes sense.
He's got the plow to answer the Pile Driver, so it's not a huge deal for him. He can also Wrath here. That said, Wrath opens him up to Ringleader next turn. We can see that Jared does not have, but in the Fog of War, Josh is unaware.
And we do have a red elemental blast though, or a blue elemental blast.
Yes.
So
he gets to turn 5, gets the next land, hits a land drop. He should be okay.
For sure.
Said that life total is dropping. Jared just run it out. He gives
this one you definitely want to get rid of. Goes with the good old-fashioned counterspell.
There you go. Okay. You got to flip a white. Oh no! Got there eventually. This is what you get for playing Skycloud Expanse. You get to spend one less life.
Oh, there's the hammer. That's the hammer.
The thing is, though, Josh is only sitting on 4 lands. Jared's got a Siege Gang commander that I think he's going to try and land next turn.
True.
And that will put a lot of pressure on Josh's mana.
Definitely one of the best cards for fighting through a Copper Red.
Unfortunately, as we know, there are 2 Wrath of Goblins. So.
Yes.
Yeah, the extra bodies from the Siege Gang commanders go a long way to stopping that Copper Red effectiveness.
So War Chief will make everything a little speedy.
But it lets him force through a damage.
Yep.
Which at this, in this type of game, every damage matters.
Prevent that. Take one.
That Tinkerer's putting in work.
Yeah, it's chipping in there.
Yeah, it's done 4 damage. It's a Fire Blast equivalent.
So I think, are we just slamming Wrath here, or are we holding back?
He's got the Blue Blast.
I guess
he can't. Oh no, he can't Wrath. He can hold up a Darker Wastes, filter mana, and then do it that way. Skycloud Expanse is taxing on the mental resource. I'll tell you that.
I guess just letting Jared extend more.
Yeah, no, that's fine for him. And that's the classic red creature deck against the Serpent Protection and the God matchup.
Yeah. You have to attack on one axis or the other, and when they have both, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and Jared really doesn't have, like I said, he doesn't have a choice. He has to play into the Wrath of God.
Correct.
Otherwise, he is just going to not do it.
Yeah, it's one of those two is face up on the table, the cop red. So you have to just play to the out of, okay, I'll hope he doesn't have it.
Yeah, I think he's got to go for a Ringleader here, because he's got to refill his hand after the Wrath of God he has to be afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
What else could he be thinking about? He might be thinking about getting a War Chief, or not a War Chief.
He could get a Lackey here with the... I guess the Lackey would never deal damage with the cop red.
Yeah. I like getting the Ringleader here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely the correct choice. It is notable that we have not hit a green source for if we do draw into Naturalize.
Yeah, which he has not done yet, so he doesn't have to feel bad about not having mana for it.
True. But if the top of the deck is were to be kind to us, it would have to be kind twice.
Yes. Which is asking a lot.
It is.
In modern day Magic, you've
it
got
will.
a million cards, just draw you a million cards, and you put no effort into it. But
And-
this one, you have to work for it.
Besides, that would also mean that Josh would have to not have the backup Copper Red,
Oh my goodness.
which absolutely a wealth of answers here from Josh Sissio. Firmly in the
Abundance of
driver's
riches,
seat.
I would say.
And Copperhead has certainly done a very good job of keeping his life total. He's not getting chipped down like
Correct,
he
yeah.
was last game.
He's doing more damage to himself with his lands than the creatures are doing at this point.
True.
That said, I mean, each of these goblins is a Schadenport, so it's not. It doesn't come for free. There is a cost to it. It may not be an impactful cost. Here we go. We see the Wrath of God coming out, tapping in such a way as to leave up the place to blast.
Yep.
Jerry cleans all those guys. Rest in peace, boys.
Served us well.
There's a Red Blast. Okay.
Yeah, Red Blast,
He has
Pyro
a-
Blast. He does have the naturalized, I believe. And then
Oh yeah, he does have it. I see.
yeah,
I see.
and then a Matron.
The one card that is not, well, a lot of them are not red, but that one is very definitively green.
Yeah. And this one's pink and green. What are you talking about?
Yeah. The text is reddish. It's red adjacent.
Red adjacent. I like that.
I think Jared's just got to chain ringleaders here. I think that's really his best bet. That Tinker is gone, which is going to open up that Mishra's Factory and make it live.
So
CJ Commander. The Goblin deck has a lot of. It doesn't seem like it on the face, but it has a lot of Haymaker spells. Like
Oh, yeah,
the
definitely.
Ringleaders, the Siege Gangs add a lot of options for the Goblin deck. And a lot of things that have to answer.
okay, so gonna go for a pile driver. And I would say that Josh wouldn't mind a couple more lands, but he's also drawing such gas that, like,
It's fine.
it's totally fine.
And this isn't burned, so he can actually cycle this decree, make a couple works, and actually
True.
start getting in.
She's gonna just pass back. No.
I was thinking if there was any benefit to dropping out the second cop red on the off chance that it gets naturalized, but there's no reason to do that. It's-
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is that you're potentially exposing yourself to anarchy.
Right.
But,
Or Tranquil Domain,
Or
which is more
Tranquil
common, I
Domain.
think, out of the Goblins deck. Yeah.
True. So,
Josh is really good.
yeah.
Yeah, there's overextending the land still that can do as well.
So we have found green source pretty notably.
Yes. And Jared has a nice little opening here where he can spend his Josh's end step tapping a blue source, untap, tap another blue source, shutting off counterspell, and leaving only mana leak as an opening as an option for playing an actualize in his hand. This is some good setup from Jared. I think that might be why he went and got the pile driver. He wanted a cheap threat that he could
That's fair.
combine with his Schadenport and then do that sequence, getting out the disenchant or the nationalize on the copper.
Very true. Now,
He is dropping the
going to
copper.
suss out that the green source means naturalize is a live draw. So that means he is best to duplicate his copper red, drop down that redundant copy. Very heads up play.
Yeah,
Josh, go ahead.
it's good. I think Jared's going to go for the nationalize here.
Yeah.
Just going to resolve, but. Oh no, he's going for the point. Okay, he did the thing.
Yeah.
It just was a lot less. It's a lot less effective when there's two cop reds in play. Crimson Forest.
Lands are starting to flow a little bit too much for Jared.
Yeah, this is about where he wants to stop. The Goblins
Yeah.
wants to have they want to have a decent amount of mana so they can drop Ringleader Threat. But again, you don't want to have so much that you're not sitting on action. Jared is still sitting on some action, but he's got a lot of hills to climb.
Yeah, this This ringleader's got to be good.
I'll just go for the naturalize here. I guess he gets to force through some damage. The matron's going to be able to get through with the naturalize going in on the top. He's floating down the cop. Oh, no, the cop is able to prevent the damage from going back effectively.
So stacking the
putting
prevention.
that bubble up. Prevention bubble.
Yeah, does choose to
Dissolve the
jam.
ringleader, like it. Okay, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Less fantastic against the Wrath that we know is in Josh's hand, but still, I think the right way to go here.
So,
That's a rough.
just a draw one. Only picks up a lackey off of the ringleader.
That is a womp ringleader. I can't recall the last time I've seen a ringleader draw fewer than 2 cards. I mean, now I have, obviously.
Yeah.
That card always hits 3 or 4. It's just Especially with the density of goblins in the goblins deck, that's kind of the point.
Definitely.
Thanks, Onslaught. So
Looks like we must have floated a mana.
maybe he didn't activate the cop. Maybe he went for activation on the vicious factory.
Yeah, just floated it, and end of the phase decides to stand up the factory.
Okay, I like this. Is an interesting attack.
Decides to just send.
I'm curious if I'm guessing the factory got activated. Yeah, I didn't think it activated. I was wondering if it wasn't a cop activation or a factory activation. Walks the matron. Okay. And prevents the pile driver. Very strong play. Okay.
Very nice.
I was thinking, why don't you go for the 2/2 and get the value of pumping your vicious factory? I'm also not very good at Magic. So
very
that's
heads up
why
play.
That's why he didn't do that. He did much better play than I would.
Very heads up play by Josh. Which his play is so far very much impressed me. He's a old grinder from like Legacy and very much a very good, well accomplished player up here in the Northeast.
Definitely playing tight. Heads up, especially that second cop red draw. Like,
Very heads
like
up.
you said, sussing out that naturalize.
Yeah.
Very strong.
So what can Jared do at this point?
Jared's definitely a tough spot. He needs to just draw run around ringleaders, but he's only got 2 left at this point.
Yeah, so we're we can start doing this kind of off-turn cycle, port you at the end of your turn, port you at the beginning of my turn, to knock off 2 activations, or I guess really only 1 activation of this cop red.
He does get to shut off the vicious factor.
Yep.
There was another taper in his hand. No, it's a red. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was a card I recognized, but I wasn't used to recognizing it, so that's why. A little bit of Stockholm syndrome here. Jared kicks the first game. Or no, second game was the game. I'm sorry.
So I'm trying to think of what string of draws here Jared could have, and kind of tough, but cracks the standstill, and a couple more lands for Sissio.
Which is what he wants to see with that decree.
Definitely. He's at the point, he has plenty of answers, and just wants to be able to comfortably deploy them all.
Now that said, we are at 3 minutes left in the round. If that time clock is accurate, they are going to have a really tough time finishing this match.
That is true. Now, I believe... Actually, I'm not sure. I don't remember when I started the clock. I might have started it late. But I also might not have. So, we will see.
That is a mystery for another time.
Yeah. I should be...
That said, the players have been playing, I think, at a very, very crisp pace.
For sure.
It's just been a lot. Like you mentioned, the Goblins deck is just so grindy. It takes a lot for the Landstill deck to get through it all. Wrath God comes down here. Gonna fetch a plains, yeah, like that.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think Josh is in any danger of losing. I think he's in danger of not being able to win.
That's very true. I would agree with that. But
Like 3 cards, yeah. I was thinking, does Josh like Wrath and then take the Mishra's hit, like 2 Mishra's attack to try and like start forcing through damage? But no, that doesn't seem. That seems very risky. That seems very risky. That's at a loss, the same as a draw at this point. So like,
yes,
maybe you do that.
Yeah, players definitely. That's a siege gang. That's a big one. We do have a mana leak and a counterspell in hand, so
Jared does have
and a Hydroblast.
Okay.
And another blast, I believe. I think we had double blast. Yep. That's going to
That's 6. That's
just about empty Jared of resources, I believe. Down to 1 card in hand. That's the Naturalize? Or I'm not sure what the last card in Jared's hand is. But I think we're at the point now where we just want to. I mean, are we just going to make an angel? Make a 4/4? Let's have a 4/4. It's like a fanatic.
There's no token.
Oh, no.
That is a Naturalize, yeah.
Okay. Well, that deals with the.
Wow.
Alright, well, that's not the most threatening thing to have.
Yeah.
But
If it had been one of the big Kingmakers, I think Jared
would have been right
very
back in
close to just winning, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Sissio down to 6.
Effective 5 with the automatic on it.
Stands up. It's like, I think Sissio was lining up his attacks
he's very
before.
cognizant of the clock.
Oh, for sure. Lining up those attacks before he'd even drawn his card for turn. But yeah, players definitely aware that they've only got a few minutes left. But Jared is going to need a couple of. That's not a bad one. Able to
Got the
pay.
for mana leak. That said, there's a plow. That said, the plow does add a whole turn to Josh's clock.
Very true. Yep, so he chooses to use it.
Yes, he doesn't have a lot of risk there. The hand for Jared using Dust Bowl.
Yep, shoot the board.
It's fine, yeah. I kind of don't like the use of the time for that. I know you're not doing clicks like in Magic Online, but
Fair.
There's still actions being taken, like that is a non-zero amount of time.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I know the timer is showing these players are going to have a couple of minute extension just for being in the feature area. No, looks like they are.
I don't think they're actually at time though. They started after the clock.
Yeah, and Sissio just playing face up, and Jared will concede the match.
Yeah. I think Jared was going to lose there, but even if he had not, that was heads up.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jared was dead on board to the angel attack. If we were able to force through, at the very least, 2 angel attacks in turns. But that's going to do it for round 7 in the books. Josh Sissio.
Draw some sideboard cards. That's pretty helpful, it turns out.
We did say that if you draw sideboard cards, you will win the game.
Commentary from the Impulse and Dress group.
We have the insight